I woke up super early again. I keep doing that. I keep passing out at night and then I just wake up super early. And I just, I'm so exhausted. By the time it gets close to bedtime, I'm just completely collapsing. Still not really doing that great, but I was a lot more functional yesterday. I'm trying so hard to get just past it. Having big giant epiphanies is hard. Anyway, today I'm gonna try to get us all out of here and go on a picnic, and we're just gonna walk down to the freaking Erie Canal. It's not anything fancy, and have a picnic, but just being near some water and out of the apartment, maybe it'll help. We're walking, and it shouldn't be that we're around a whole bunch of people and stuff like that, so hopefully, my spouse will be fine. We're not going inside any buildings. We'll take masks, obviously. I don't know. Hopefully it'll help. My spouse told her mom how she felt about their parenting last night. Expressed why she's always angry. So maybe that'll help. I don't know. I can't argue anymore. I can't try to convince anymore. I can't plead with people anymore. I literally haven't gone on Facebook or things like that. I don't want to see people arguing with each other, fighting, and acting like fools, and watch people who I thought maybe were good people falling into conspiracy theory land and showing how racist they actually are. And were they that racist this entire time and I just didn't know it? And I don't want to keep filling my head with that, so I'm just gonna try to educate myself. I figure if I educate myself a lot on what I want to do, then when I come out of this and we start our lives, hopefully at some point next year, that there'll be more capability to do the things that we actually want. The girls and I were talking about our little mini farm thing, miniaturized farm last night. Our tiny little space filled with just us and things I want to do. And the things that I would like to do. It feels so far away still. I'm trying. I tried to actually do something with other people yesterday on the game, guilty stuff. My spouse is all like, we should take a step back. And I'm like, I don't really feel like that's. I don't feel like the guild is adding any stress. I feel like all the emotional distress and the constant, like, juggling mental health issues and the feeling hopeless, trapped, is causing distress. I don't know, I was looking at Canada and like, well, maybe we should just try to immigrate to Canada someday or something instead of Europe. But the problems with Canada, A, it's really close to the United States, and it seems like some of the terrible backwards thinking that's here is leaking into Canada. And like some of the politicians, like Ford, like how did Ford get voted in Canada? The nicest place in the world voted in a rat bastard. Like, you can't seem to get away from everyone who's trying to work together and be together and live together and make progress for the world. You can't seem to get away from the people who are obstinately against ever embracing any other culture or ever welcoming any other kind of person or doing anything that doesn't line the pockets of the already filthy, crazy, insanely rich and keeps the insanely, helplessly poor downtrodden. Like, you can't seem to get away from it. Not even in a country known for being insanely polite. I don't know. I look at stuff like that and it just makes me sad. So I'm trying to take a break from looking at it. I'm just trying to focus on what my own little tiny home would look like, because what country it's in, I don't know what country to even wish for anymore at this point. A bunch of countries are doing really stupid things, and the countries who do the least amount of stupid things, I don't know that I could ever get into. So, it's just hopeless. Told my girlfriend that I would never know what it was like to be, like, loved right off the bat, you know, like love at first sight and stuff like that. I fall in love with people, but I've never met anyone who fell in love with me. And I said maybe if I could ever transition someday, that could change. And they could look at me and see me and love me, and maybe the reason it's never happened is because I'm not me. That people don't just, I don't know, feel as drawn to me as I feel to them when I care. When I don't care, I don't feel nothing, and people are drawn to me in a weird lead me, take care of me way, because I'm willing to make decisions, but they don't want to, so they get drawn to me in that way, but not in a close personal way. Which is fine for the most part. Most people are acquaintances, and that's all I ever want them to be, but the people that I love the most, I wish loved me back the most. Like, I wish we shared the same sentiment, and I don't know, my girlfriend has a big complex about how much she has hurt us in the past. It didn't matter how much I told her lying and her not following through with her promises and stuff was hurting me. She still kept doing it for a long time. And that I was suffering as bad as I was, didn't have any bearing on whether or not she would stop. But she did finally start making an effort. And she beats herself up a lot. But I don't think beating yourself up accomplishes anything. I've never thought guilt tripping and beating people up results in anything positive. It just doesn't do anything good. If you've done something wrong, just don't do it anymore. Just stop doing it. That's what will result in something. Beating yourself up about it, but keeping doing it, doesn't help anything. Stopping doing it, but beating yourself up so much that you can't do something else instead, doesn't help anything. Changing helps things. Change. We need change. If I transitioned right now and my life was still the same, I wouldn't be happy. Even if I was like a guy and in a better body, it wouldn't actually change anything about my day-to-day life, and my day-to-day life is what's causing so much problems. It's just non-stop. Last night the girls were getting along and being happy. My girlfriend and I, we made cookies and we were getting along and being happy. And I actually fell asleep without there being fighting for the first time, and I can't even remember. My spouse said that she's always taking everything everyone says wrong because she's angry all the time at her past. And she's so full of anger, she doesn't know what to do with it, so everything just sounds terrible when anyone says anything. It doesn't matter what you say under the sun, it just sounds like you're attacking her, and she just attacks back and gets defensive and yells and argues every single thing. So hopefully her talking to her mom last night and telling her mom how angry she is helped. I mean, on the one hand, I'd be angry too. Her parents had like no sense of good judgment. I mean, I don't know why her parents aren't angry. Like, if even one single thing that happened to my spouse when she was a kid happened to any other kid, I would think that their parents would be furious and, highly upset by it. And her mom just makes excuses and acts like it's not fair that she's upset that those things happened to her. And acts like, that it's not as big of a deal as she's making it out to be. And I'm like, these are universally throughout all of history considered terrible things. Human trafficking, like rape in a multitude of times, and from terrible people, like criminals, like actual fresh out of jail criminals that her parents thought it'd be a great idea to try to help them get back on their feet while they had a small child who was special needs in their house. And they don't defend their daughter, they defend the criminals and having the criminals come to stay. They make excuses. I genuinely think that all my spouse needs to hear is, you know what? These are atrocious, heinous things. And I am so sorry. It will never happen again. And I accept that you're hurting and that you might be hurting for a while. And that's reasonable. Anyone would be hurting in this situation. And if you are upset at us, that's okay. I'm upset at us too. I think if her parents said that would just mean so much. And instead they just are like, oh, well, I don't understand it. Least protective parents I've ever met in my entire life. Totally, completely oblivious to, like, having done wrong. Like, my spouse would not have as many disorders as she has if her parents hadn't allowed so many things to happen to her. And they didn't, like, intentionally allow it to happen. They just accidentally offered her on a silver platter because they were being completely thoughtless. And they don't take any responsibility for that. They just deny and sugarcoat it and make excuses. Well, it's not really anyone's fault. And that just doesn't help anything. So on the one hand, I get why my spouse is angry. On the other hand, I'm not a punching bag. And I have been for years at this point. And she just lashes out at me because I'm who happens to be here. And I won't abandon her. So everyone else gets her sweet side. I used to get her sweet side too. At least some of the time. I'm just tired all the time. I'm tired to the point of just being weak. I'm struggling to exercise because I just can't hardly do anything. And it's not just a motivation thing. Like, I just am so tired. Our lives need to change. I can't even think about changing me until our life changes. Like, I'm supposed to be having this big self-knowledge awakening or some shit. With all this trans stuff, I'm supposed to be able to focus on me or whatever bullshit. It's just so unrealistic. Like, I'm transgender. The most important thing in my life is supposed to be that I'm transgender. After my family. Obviously. Family is the most important thing in the universe, but, you know. There's just too much else. There's just so much else. I'm trying to change the way that I help, because the way that I've been trying to help just doesn't work. It's never worked in my entire life, so I have to learn something else. Something that might actually work. I'm so sick of doing things that are fruitless. If it doesn't have a point, I don't want to do it. I'm too tired. I don't have enough energy. to waste a bunch of expenditure on stuff that's never going to go anywhere. I don't know if I want to start transitioning if I can't actually transition. Like, why start taking testosterone if you're never actually going to be able to get a phalloplasty? Why do that to myself? Why be partway there and then just trapped? Except I already am partway there and trapped, so I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. Hopefully the picnic will be nice. I need something to be nice. I need more sleep. I need a lot of things. You spend your whole life sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing for everyone, and lo and behold, you get to a point where you don't have a single thing you need. Don't be like me, kids. Don't live for other people. Help other people. Be kind to other people, but don't live for other people. Don't be like me.